So which stove is right for you? Are you planning on going on a hiking trip? Are you planning on going backpacking? Are you planning on going camping? I know those all sound the same, but it can be a difference sometimes when you're looking at the stoves you're doing. I like to look at it this way. If I'm going camping, I usually say to myself, camping for me is an overnight. I'm going to be in my car, I'm going to be in a shelter, something to that effect. I can take any size stove I want. The next big question is, how many people are going? Is it just going to be me? Or is it going to be me and 5 buddies of mine? Or is it going to be me and a whole scout troop? Because if it's just going to be me, I don't need to carry this whole thing, even though I have room in the car. This will do fine. But if it's going to be me and 5 other guys, we may have a big meal planned, and this may be better. So, quantity of people going and what you have to carry it with is very important. I always take my Coleman when I'm going camping with the Scouts, because I need to be able to cook on 2 burners a lot of times. I'll be frying eggs over here, cooking bacon over here. Actually, we'll have this and maybe another one on the side of it going, because we have maybe 20 people out there, or maybe another one besides that, or maybe we'll just be cooking on the fire. That's something I haven't mentioned yet. There's also campfires. Campfires are very important for outdoors. People enjoy them. It brings an outdoor sense to everything and eliminates all the process of carrying stuff. All you need is a grate and your food, and a lot of times it's enough, and a lot of times it's a lot more fun. So keep that in mind, that stoves don't have to just be things you can bring. They can also be campfires out there. So that's that's camping to me. Backpacking to me is when I'm going to take my pack and I'm going to fill it with stuff for multiple days. If I'm doing that, I want to think, do I need to carry a butane stove, or do I want to carry an alcohol stove? I'm not going to carry the Coleman stove. It's just too much to fit into a backpack. So when I ask myself, do I want butane or alcohol? The questions I ask, how many am I cooking for? Am I just cooking for myself? Is it just going to be some evening meals that I'm rehydrating? Or am I planning on cooking every meal? And is it going to be 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 people? If it is, I might need to boil 4 or 5 cups of water. Butane is going to be able to do that for me. Alcohol is not going to be able to do that. Alcohol is going to boil 1 to 2 cups of water and is best used in early morning hours or late evening hours due to the fact that the flames can be invisible in the sunlight. So you may not want to use that. And they can take a little longer than butane sometimes. Another thing I always ask myself is, what's the weather going to be like? Is it cold? Is it rainy? Well, alcohol can be put out by water very easily. If it's cold, alcohol is very hard to light. Now, there's different types of alcohol stoves. There is the simple beer can type jet stoves you'll see on YouTube all over the place. There's also the felt stoves. The felt stoves will stay lit a little better than the jet stoves in a wind situation. But in a water situation where it's raining out, if water gets in here, it's done. This will be mostly covered by the pot, and it'll have stronger jets coming out. Now, butane, the water really won't affect it that much, unless it's pouring, then it won't do any good. And the cold weather can affect it. If your canister's starting to get a little low, these things just don't build up, the pressure changes in cold weather. So that can be a major factor if you don't have a fresh canister and you're going out in the cold weather. So my opinion is, if you're going cold weather, take a butane with a fresh canister. If you're going in nice spring weather and you're planning on just doing evening cooking, where there's not a big deal with sunlight shining on your stuff, or you're really trained in using an alcohol stove and you don't mind not being able to see the flame because you know where it's at and when it's lit, take an alcohol. Alcohol stoves can be ultra lightweight. Butane stoves can also be lightweight. Coleman stoves, not so light. So for backpacking, I usually have to make a choice between this or that, and I usually make my decision based on 2 people or less, 3 people or more. That's how I make my decisions on the backpack. Hiking. Hiking is a day-long thing. You're not planning on staying the night. Generally, you're going out in the morning at some point and returning before you go to bed. There's no overnight stuff generally in hiking, and a lot of times you won't be cooking that much. You may be just going for a couple hours. But if you do plan on cooking and you need a stove, the choices become one of these 2 again. Are you going to take an alcohol stove? Or are you going to take a butane stove? Well, if you're hiking, you've got to have some place to carry this stuff. So size is very important. Sometimes a hiking stove is just a bag like this. With propane, it can be kind of heavy. An alcohol bottle is small enough to where you could fit it in your pocket, and a stove can fit right in a gum container. Granted, anything you bring is going to require a pot, and if you're hiking, this size pot is not going to be something you want to carry for just a simple little hike. Almost turns it into a backpacking trip. So, keep that in mind. You can do the beer can things on here and fit all this into a beer can just about if you're only going to cook one meal. So sometimes that alcohol is perfect for a day hike, whereas the butane might be a little bit much for a day hike.